All right. Welcome to Bruffy's UAE Rugby Wrap. We wrap up what's going on in the UAE Rugby and further beyond these days. On today's show, we'll chat the three Prem games, talk to a couple of lads from Doha. Let's get on with it. All right. Salam alaikum, and let's get on with today's show. We're going to kick things off with the Friday night thriller from the Hurricanes and the Exiles. The Canes will be kicking themselves with this one. They had most of the territory and possession for the match, but just couldn't finish when it really mattered. Just couldn't score more than the two tries that they got. They had the early lead, but just really couldn't finish when it mattered. Likewise, the Exiles backs are probably copping a bit of a roasting from Jacques this weekend. They were very average. They couldn't hold on to the ball really for the first half. But luckily for the Exiles, their scrum was massive and really dominant. That kept them in the game when they needed to. And they kept pushing forward with a lot of scrum penalties. A big moment in the second half changed everything, really, changed momentum. Exiles got away with a big forward pass, and then the Hurricanes managed to really compound all those errors. Andre Gerber got I think, his fifth yellow card for the season with an intentional knockdown, a deliberate knockdown. And then that put the Exiles back on the front foot with a man advantage. They worked their penalties and the right areas of the field. Their big boys were able to get them over the line. So Exiles, with about 15 minutes of good rugby, defeated the Hurricanes with 65 minutes of good rugby. But the Exiles took that one out 22-14. On Saturday at Al Habtoor Polo Club, the Sharks hosted Bahrain, and this was an absolute demolition by the Red Wall. The Sharks scored a couple of late tries to soften the blow a little bit, but they couldn't put much together. They do really endeavour to throw the football around and want to play. They're not making good decisions when they're making mistakes, and they don't seem to have the drive to fix it. Even some of their leaders are just, once a mistake happens, the head drops, and Bahrain were killing them off the defensive errors. Other than that, guys like Big Rory Drummond, he was making huge meters every time he touched the ball. Guys like Emosi were struggling to stop him, which is a big thing. It wasn't a close game, but Bahrain and that Red Wall stay undefeated, and they won the game 64 to the Sharks 14. So that was a bit of a pasting and a lot of points put on. All right, and the third West Asia Super Rugby game was in Doha. And just as we get to that, let's introduce our guests for this week. We have Martin de Torres. He is the injured captain. He managed to last a good 4 minutes against the Quins a couple of weeks ago. He told me it was 4 minutes, not 30 seconds. And he's welcoming, and the head coach, Elliot Johnson, as well, who is a player coach for Doha. So welcome to the podcast, boys.
Thanks
Thank you very much for having us. Thank you.
All right. First of all, congrats for a big home win on the weekend. I didn't get to see it, but I very much enjoyed the messages popping up on my phone the moment it happened. So congrats on that. Martin, can you talk us what you saw from the sidelines?
Yeah, as I think we talked about earlier, Elliot, but yeah, it was a bit of a scrappy game between both of the teams. Could have gone either way as well. Can't really remember much more, to be honest. Do you want to take over?
Elliot, maybe you can tell a bit more from the coach's perspective.
Yeah, as I mentioned earlier, it sort of ebbed and flowed between the two teams. The momentum swings either way. We really lacked discipline the weekend before against the Exiles. I think we played maybe half the game with 14 or 13 and had 35 plus penalties, which is an absolute coach killer. So we really worked on that in the week, and we got 0 yellow cards for the first time this game in West Asia. And I think we kept our pens under 20, which is still outrageous, but obviously a big difference. As I mentioned earlier, I think it was a very strange end to the game. We sort of won on a scrum free kick not using it from the ref. So the Dragons boys make me feel aggrieved, but we're very happy to get the monkey off our back. And the way we played in patches is how we need to start playing for 60 plus, and then we are well involved in this league.
Awesome. So the final score was 28-26. Who were some of the standout players, Martin? Who was your standout player for the game?
I think Max and Mikey at 10 and 12 played really well. Having Mikey back, Mikey was injured for quite a lot of the start of the season. And Max obviously missed the Quins game as well, but having those two back together, I thought they ran the backs really well. Jiff as well at 9 played really well. So and forwards as well. Obviously, Elliot always puts a hell of a shift in as well. He's quite a modest man, so probably won't talk about it too much. But he always puts a good shift in. Mackie at 8 as well. So I just think all round some big performances.
And your skipper replacement, number 2, he seems to be. I don't remember seeing him earlier on in the season, but he seems to be a bit of a shining light for you guys as well.
Yeah, he's definitely coming on really well this season as well. You said I think he's playing really well. He leads really well as well. Even though when he's not captain, he's our vice captain. But even then, having him on the pitch as well, talking to the boys, talking through our structures and stuff. He's definitely grown in confidence this season, and he's putting some really good shifts in recently as well.
Celebrations must have been pretty good then, getting that first win of the season. What's the rest of the season looking like for you guys?
So we have Canes upcoming this weekend at home, and then we have a week off, and then we have Sharks at home, and then we finish the season with an away game at the Sevens ground against Exiles. So we've got 3 in the next 4 weeks. Hopefully looking to put in a couple of performances, ride this wave off the back of the Dragons win into Canes this weekend with another strong squad at home, which obviously makes it much easier for us who travel every other week to have our home games. And then Sharks is one from early on in the season that we thought really got away from us. So we feel like we have something. Certainly, we owe them a good game when they come to us in 2-3 weeks' time. Sorry.
I think that'll be a massive target game for you guys.
And
really put the difference between you guys on the ladder. All right, so I don't know much about Doha Rugby Club. You were in the comp a fair few years ago, and then obviously there was a fair few things that happened in between. Last season, you were back in the comp, but only played double headers away. What has it meant for you guys to have home games and stuff this season as well?
I think just from the whole not having to travel is a massive thing for us. I know we got quite a few South Africans, and every time they go away, they got to pay for the visa and stuff like that. But just having boys available, we had a really strong 23 at home this weekend. We had boys that missed out, and the away games that we usually play, we're struggling to get a few boys there, or it takes a bit convincing and stuff like that. So having a really good, strong 23 at home, and then having boys that unfortunately are missing out, which it's horrible, but it's a good sign for the club. When there's competition for places and stuff like that, people want to come to training. But traveling for us is tough. We do it because we want to play a good standard at rugby. But the early mornings, the weekend is kind of not wasted because you're still having fun. But it's a long time to be away.
Yeah. What's the rugby community like and things in Doha? Obviously, there's a lot of teams in the UAE, so it's a bit bigger. What's it like over there, Elliot?
We have about 5 teams based within Doha, within the country, that play in our local league, our Qatar Rugby Federation League, and we also play in that as the men's team, and that's where we look to blood in our under 18s, or we get players that potentially haven't had the minutes that they would have wished in West Asia, and that's where we look to give them as much game time as possible. We have another vets team within our own club and a ladies team within our own club, and the other 4 are from in and around Doha.
Do they put any players forward for you guys for the Prem or anything like that? Is there any collaboration in that, or is it it's just not possible?
So this year there hasn't been any collaboration across the teams. I may not look at it, but I am actually old enough to have played in the West Asia when we were last in it in 2017 before the blockade. And so back in the day, it used to almost be like a Doha Barbarians, where we would have the best of the rest would come and train with us, and we would be able to take them. But then they would play within their own club or their own team within the Qatar Rugby League. There is now discussions that may happen next year, and that's something personally as a coach I want, because we don't have the luxury that all the UAE teams have. If you've got some boys where your boy's injured, then your second team boys just step up, and they've been playing 6 to 8 games over the course of the season as well. I don't have that luxury. I have my between 20 and 30 lads that come to training, and if one of those is away, it's someone who's potentially not been involved in the process of training or is not up to scratch with the calls and things that I'm then calling in, I'm begging, I'm calling around to get to. So to have that bigger player pocket or player pool to choose from, I think is a good thing for Doha moving forward.
Yeah. Now, Martin, I know your season's kind of come to an injury. Can you talk us through your injury that you received?
Yeah, so unfortunately I clashed heads with Chase, who's some big Afrikaner farmer, massive head. So I fractured my eye socket, and my cheekbone was like encaved, I think, like it was down and in. So yeah, got the smallest little cut here, but basically they hooked my cheek out and back up into its rightful place. So 3 months now, no contact. So I'll try and get down to training still, but yeah, no contact for me. I'm trying to aim for next season now.
Help out with that the coaching staff and trying to get the boys down and stuff like that, I'm sure.
Yeah.
Now, Elliot, you're head coach, but you also play. How difficult, or what are the pros and cons of doing that?
I sat down with Martin at the end of the summer, and I remember saying that I am a coach. I'm not going to play. I'm happy to sit on the bench if we can't get numbers. And I think since then, I've started every game but one. For me personally, it's something I've had to deal with on the pitch, becoming emotionally charged within the match, and then having to make objective selection processes if they become injuries and stuff. So luckily, one lad who's actually out for the season with a shoulder injury, and a second lad who it wasn't a part-time assistant coach anyway, have really stepped up since the sort of Christmas break, and are dealing with a lot more stuff. Certainly match day, they're all doing all the sideline stuff and helping with session plans for the week and delivery of drills and stuff. So it's become a very much more of a shared practice now than I'm just leading anything and everything. So I'm dealing with it a little bit better than I was before.
Awesome. All right. We'll get on to a bit more of the relaxed stuff. So we've heard a bit about Doha Rugby Club. Let's get to know you guys a bit better. We'll start with Martin first. If you were a cartoon character, who would you be and why?
That's a great one. Elliot, do you want to go first on that one?
I don't think it was aimed at me. I'm happy to go first if you want me to.
I'm coming to you next, Elliot, so either one.
A cartoon character.
You don't have many kids, mate. So
yeah, I don't have much cartoons in a long time. I'll go. I don't even know. We'll go. Is Winnie the Pooh a cartoon?
Yeah, absolutely, mate.
I'll just go Winnie the Pooh. Just chill out. Yeah, there you go. We'll go for that.
How about yourself, Elliot? You're a dad, so you've probably got a few more cartoons in the
bank. I am, yeah. Kids are obsessed with Lion King, and because I'm essentially the oldest person involved in the team, I would go for Rafiki out of Lion King. A bit eccentric, but happy to stick up. If you watch a bit of Lion Guard, even they get well involved in the fight. So I'll take that.
Nice, yeah. Rafiki was the name of my first dog, so I'm a big fan of Rafiki as well. All right, so we got some good reactions from the Bahrain boys last week. So we'll ask this question again. Who would you least like to date your sister as part of the team?
Oshan, the number 9. He's a terrible person.
Any reason?
He's just a terrible person. We love him, but just a terrible, terrible person. So definitely him. He would have to stay away.
Elliot?
Max Johnson's a bit of a heartbreaker, number 10, and I intensely dislike his floppy bouffant hair, so I wouldn't enjoy him coming round for a Sunday dinner with my daughter, to be fair.
Fair enough. All right. Well, if you were, let's go the opposite way. Who in your team would you be least annoyed if they started to date your sister?
Ooh.
I think Alex Cullen's a good man. He's he's a proper family man, nice guy. I think go for Alex Cullen.
Elliot?
Yeah, immediately I did think of Cullen because he's pretty straight down the line and he's a fantastic bloke. However, I'd change mine to Matthew Memory, our prop. I think he's a fantastic bloke and he does a job week in, week out, and he always messes me trying to play the selection game on a Thursday about who's playing in the game. So I wouldn't mind him taking the daughter out and then us being able to talk about sport for the rest of the evening.
Yes, nice. All right, Elliot, as you were the coach, I'm going to let you off with the start one, drop one, bench one questions because I don't think that's too fair. Martin, I'm definitely not letting you off. So we'll start with the backs for you. We've got your number 12 is Brink, Schwartz, and Johnson. Out of the three of them, who are you starting, dropping, and benching?
Oh, geez, that's a tough one. I would probably start Max, just because I think he's having a great season. I would go with Mikey on the bench, and then we'll put Paul. Paul's only young; he's got many more years to go in his career. He's only young, so we'll put Paul on the bench. We'll drop Paul. We'll have Mikey on the bench and Maxie in a 10.
All right, fair enough. And let's go.
This is horrible.
Yeah, and you know it's coming because it's a common thing every time. Let's go into the forwards. So you've got starting hooker Raper, number 8 Mackie, or Falasiu, who played number 7 for you guys on the weekend. So 3 starters, got to start one, drop one, bench
I
one.
would start Mackie because I think Mackie is a very, very good rugby player. I think he was injured at the start of the season as well, but I think him coming back as well, he's kind of changed our fortunes a fair bit as well. So yeah, although he does moan loads about money, so yeah. But I'd start Mackie. I'd have Raper there on the bench as well because I think Raper is just a very good player. And then who's the last one? Joe.
Yeah.
I'd stick Joe on the bench. We'll drop Joe. Drop Joe.
All right.
He picks and chooses when he wants to play anyway. So we'll drop Joe.
All right. Well, guys, congratulations again on the win. I'd like to thank you for being guests this weekend, and I wish you both really the best of luck for the rest of the season.
We appreciate it. Thank you, and
Lovely to talk to you.
Well done on the pod as well. I know the boys listen in every week. So yeah, we appreciate it massively.
All right. Cheers, lads.
All right. Thanks very much.
See you later. Bye.
All right. That is a wrap for the lads from Doha Rugby Club. So we'll thank them for joining us again. Now we are going to move on to the awesome versus rough.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh no, that's pretty rough. Come on.
I love that little song. All right, let's start with this week's awesome. So for me, the Hurricanes back 3 were very good. They put the Exiles under a lot of pressure and were good at making gain line success there. So really one good job for them. The Exiles scrum, they were also really awesome. They were incredibly strong again. Bahrain gets an awesome for this week because they get the bonus point wins in both Prem and Div 1. This week's most awesome goes back to Doha, getting their first win of the season and probably the first win in 2 seasons there. So they get the most awesome prize this weekend. On the other end of the shape, this week's pretty rough. Hurricanes get it for not being able to close a book. The Sharks commentary team, they get a bit of that's pretty rough just for how much whinging about the refs they were doing. That it wasn't going to influence the outcome of the game. The team get a bit of a that's pretty rough, just not showing out any scrambled defence. Matty Richards, I'm looking at you. You need to step up a little bit there, mate. The Exiles backline also get a bit of that's pretty rough. They couldn't hold on to the ball and really put their forwards under pressure. They really need to bank on them. This week's pretty rough award goes to the manager of the Dragons, Gareth Humes, for having his wedding this weekend, and meaning a few of the boys couldn't make it to Doha, and they didn't get that win, possibly costing them nothing and everything in the ladders. So that's this week's awesome versus rough.
Oh, that's awesome. Oh no, that's pretty rough. Come on.
Okay, the only other game this weekend was the Div 1 game, Bahrain versus Sharks at Al Hub Tour. It was actually played at the exact same time as the Premiership game. Bahrain won that with another bonus point, 31-12. So that's good for them. In Div 2, Al Ain forfeit against Sharjah, which was a little bit concerning because it was going to be an Al Ain home game. But it is what it is, and Sharjah boys enjoyed a nice brunch on the weekend instead of playing rugby, so their bodies might feel better, but their heads probably don't. All right, but we'll move on to look at the ladders for the week. So we'll start off with the West Asia Super Rugby. There's not any really big changes up the top. Bahrain stay undefeated, Exile stay very close in the hunt, and the Hurricanes are out there 9 points ahead. The Dragons and the Harlequins are actually close on points now. That's the biggest change. People expected the Dragons to win and leapfrog the Harlequins, but with a game in hand for the Harlequins, they'll be looking to stick that fourth position and come away with a couple more games. Sharks sit down the bottom now because Doha's overtaken them after getting that win on the weekend. So well done to them. In Div 1, there was only the one game for the weekend, so there's not much change. Bahrain jump up a little bit in the points. Sharks slip a little bit further behind, but there's no real changes in there. Al Ain, Barrel House, and Exiles all on 5 wins. We'll see this coming weekend. There should be a few more games to come out. And in Div 2, we've got no real changes either. The Sharks are the ones missing out on that top 8, so tight down the bottom there, but somebody's going to miss out on the finals. At the moment, it will be the Sharks. So we'll see if they can jump up a place or see what happens on the weekend for that. Okay, on to looking ahead in next week. In the West Asia Premiership, Doha have another home game. They host the Hurricanes. Look, I know Doha's got a win and they're coming back. If the Canes can send their full-strength team, I think they'll be just a bit too strong. Their back three were awesome, so I think the Canes will be just a little bit too strong for Doha in this one. Of course, these are just my predictions. The Harlequins host the Sharks at Zayed Sports City in Abu Dhabi. I know that it will be a great commentary team there on the RCC channel. But the smart money will be on the Quins for a bonus point winning at the Sharks and really make the Dragons suffer that loss in Doha. And a big blockbuster game for the weekend. Bahrain is hosting Exiles, first versus second. It was a really close game in the first time they played. Bahrain won by a point. Exiles, they need to be better than they were this weekend. But I just think Bahrain at home, they'll edge it out in a very close one. In Div 1, Barrel House, they host Al Ain. Al Ain's are looking very good. Bahrain are a mixed bag. I think Al Ain's forwards will be too strong, but I think it'll be a close game and Al Ain just to come out ahead. The Hurricanes 2s take on the Quins 2s at the Seven Stadium. I think because Hurricanes have 3 teams playing, I just don't think they'll have the numbers or strength for that Quins 2s team. So I think Quins 2s team will win that by a couple of tries. The Dubai Tigers 1s are hosting the Sharks 2s. that'll be probably a comfortable win for the Tigers based on the way the season's gone. And Bahrain Twos host Dragons Twos in Bahrain. Bahrain at home will be too strong for the Dragons Twos. And then in Div 2, the Hurricanes Threes host the Dragons Threes. It'll be a tight one, but I think with Dylan Armitage and some of the guys who would play for that Hurricanes Threes teams, I'm backing the Canes to win that. Tigers Twos host Quins Threes, with the Tigers Ones playing as well. I just don't know if they've got the numbers. And the Quins are a big club, so I'm going to say the Quins to win it in a close one. Barrel House at home. They're hosting the UAE Shaheen. I don't think that game's going to be close. I think the Shaheen will do another demolition job, and that's if the game even goes ahead. A lot of teams have just been forfeiting against the Shaheen in the second part of the season. And Al Ain hosts the Sharks. And I don't know what's going to happen with this game because Al Ain had a home game last weekend against Sharks without their twos playing and still had to forfeit their game. So who knows what will happen in that league. So that's all the time we have for the show this week. Thank you for listening or watching. Don't forget to like, rate us, and subscribe us on whatever platform you are using. Check out the YouTube. You can see all the videos. I'd like to thank Grant from FFP Sports for producing this episode and the lads from Doha Rugby Club for being a guest this week. See you next week. Thank you and masalama.
No defeat. Pump it up, shout it loud, hear our battle cry. Rugby warriors bring the fight on the sky. Pushing boundaries, breaking rules, and holding back. For the love of the game, we stay on track. Blood, sweat, respect, that's the name of this game. Legacy and honor will be taking no shame. Roman